Not using past papers effectively could be what's holding you back from getting those top grades. Hi, I'm Soumya, and today I'll be sharing the past paper framework to achieving all 9s at GCSE and 4 A stars at A levels. Before I get into the framework, there are 2 methods you can use to go through past papers: timed and practice. Timed is where you sit in the exam conditions and complete the entire paper under the time allowed for the exam, and then you check the paper. I recommend this if you want to work on your timing or want to pretend you are actually in the exam. Practice is where you answer each question and check the answer as you go through the paper. Regardless of the method that you use, sticking to the following framework might help you. The framework can be broken down into 6 steps. Personally, I found that step 5 had the most significant impact on my grades. However, many students tend to focus only on the first 2 to 3 steps. Skipping the last 3 can really limit your potential for improvement. By committing to all 6 steps, you'll unlock the full power of this framework and see improvement in your grades. The first 2 steps are look at the question and attempt it. Look out for the keywords like describe and explain. In non-essay subjects, remember you can use bullet points. This is quicker to write and check over, and it's easier to see if you've written enough points. If the question is 3 marks, then write 3 bullet points. Importantly, it will be easier for the examiner to read it and give you the marks. And here's a little bonus tip. If you don't understand what a question is asking, don't hesitate to skip it and come back to it later. I did this many times during my exams, and it allowed me to avoid wasting time trying to break down a difficult question. There may be other questions later in the paper that you find easier to answer. By tackling those first, you'll have a clearer picture of how much time you have left to go back to those questions. After these initial steps, many students tend to stray away from the framework. Although step 5 was the most useful for me, step 3 was probably the next best, which is using the mark scheme. The mistake most students make is simply looking at the answer and moving on, which prevents them from understanding where they went wrong. Remember, past papers are not just about testing your knowledge, they are also a fantastic resource for learning and improving your understanding of the subject. Take a moment to compare your response with the mark scheme and reflect on any differences. This will help you identify areas for improvement. Anything that is underlined, you need to have that to get the mark. Also have a look at the comments on the side. When marking yourself, be honest, as that is the only way you will see where you actually are. It is important to understand why the answer is correct because it helps you learn what the examiners are looking for, and you can learn how to answer the question if a similar one comes up on your exam. And when I say you should understand the answer, I mean you should be thinking, would I get full marks now for this question if I saw it on the exam? I thought like this every time, because if I couldn't even improve from where I went wrong, then what's the point of me doing this? If you do not understand why the answer is correct, this is where step 4 comes in. When the mark scheme didn't make sense to me, I found it helpful to watch a past paper walkthrough on YouTube. These videos can provide valuable insights and explanations. If watching videos doesn't clarify anything, don't hesitate to ask your teachers for help, and you can ask your teacher for more questions on the topic of that question. And a little message from me here is that you should not get worried or feel like you are dumb if you're getting a lot of these questions wrong. It's just part of the process. Failure leads to more growth. When I would get a bit angry about getting questions wrong, I would play music, take a break, and remind myself why I want good grades in the first place. That helped me to reset and focus again. As I said, as we go through this framework, the more benefit you will get from it. And step 5 is what made the most difference to me. If you get a question wrong and you have then understood the mark scheme, make a note of it. Or if you have made any notes or revision material, correct any information that might be incorrect, or add on new information that you have learned from answering this question. I did this every time I didn't get full marks for a question in a past paper. I would make corrections in the notes that I made. Why this helps is because it solidifies your understanding and prepares you to answer future questions. You can also make a note of what topic the question is on, so you can do further revision on it or practice questions specific to that topic to improve your understanding for the exam. Remember, although this is sort of like a test, you should be using it for learning more than anything. Learn from your mistakes. Don't ignore them, because only then will you improve. The final step of this framework isn't really to do with past papers. You probably have topic tests after learning a specific concept in your lessons. I want you to repeat this framework when you get that topic test back. Go through it, understand where you went wrong and why the answer is correct. Ask your teachers if you do not understand the answer, and make a note of where you went wrong. I did this on a separate piece of paper, and I would read this and make diagrams on this before any big exam, so I don't repeat the same mistakes. But the final step of this framework isn't really to do with past papers. There was much more to my studying methods than just past papers. I go through how I studied to get 4 A stars during my A levels in this video here.